Chris Godinez, licensed professional counselor, also the host of We Need to Talk on every Sunday at noon, and then I post it up to Facebook. This video is for educational and informational purposes only. The views and opinions stated herein are mine and mine alone. They do not represent the ACA, the APA, or any other therapist for that matter. Boom, shakalaka done. I'd like to thank my sponsor, BetterHelp. BetterHelp. BetterHelp.com/Chris Godinez. They're an online therapy company. They are international. So if you are anywhere in the world and you need to get to a therapist, go to BetterHelp.com/Chris Godinez. They will set you up with a licensed professional, master's level or PhD level therapist. And if you are in the United States, you don't like your therapist, go to BetterHelp.com/Chris Godinez and they will set you up with somebody in your state. So there, that's awesome. All right. Okay, let's dive into the questions, shall we? Okay, question. Hot and cold mind games. Just wants to be right/win. Irritated, taunt someone for reaction so they feel better. How to not react to their deliberate triggering of you when they have an advantage. Okay, so when we communicate, if the person is in the discussion to win, they have already lost the relationship. Let me say that again. Discussions, disagreements, if the other person is just in it to win it, they've already lost the relationship because there's no respect. There's no listening to the other side. It's my way or the highway, or I'm right and you're wrong, and that's not a relationship. That's not a relationship. So if somebody is listening to formulate a response, they're not really listening. Reflective listening is where one person says something and the other person goes, okay, here's what I heard you say. Did I get it right? And then the other person either says yes or no. If they say no, then they allow that person to try again to get the message across so that both parties are being heard. If one person is just poking the bear, I need to be right, I gotta win, they've lost the relationship anyway. It's not about the relationship or understanding, it's about power and control. And in that case, you walk away. There's no changing them. If they are in it to win it, nope. Especially if you've brought it to their attention before and they're still doing it, nope. So, how not to react? Well, as soon as I am in a conversation with somebody who is trying to get a reaction or trying to, power and control, disrespect, I disengage. I absolutely disengage and start going, gray rock, no response. I give them nothing because they're not giving me anything of substance, of reality. So if somebody's in it to win it, leave. When respect is no longer being served, get up from the table and leave. So that is that. Okay. If they try to poke you into a position of explaining yourself, well, you owe me an explanation, young lady, or you owe me an explanation, or you need to da-da-da-da-da. I gotta pay taxes and die. That's about it. So don't ever feel like you owe somebody an explanation. You simply do not. If they are, I need to win at all costs, then you stop playing. The only way to win is to not play. Seriously. So there is that. Okay. Why, when such a package of doo-doo narcissists act like you are lucky to be with them? It's amazing how they target someone strong to jerk down to their level. Well, it's not amazing. It makes perfect sense. So remember, narcissists are pathologically jealous. Pathologically. They hate healthy, normal human beings because we feel. We have actual emotions. We have actual deep inner lives, and they don't. They really don't. So of course they're going to target somebody who is loving, kind, feeling, emotional, is able to access their emotions, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, because they can't. And it angers them that they can't. And so they want to hurt that person that has something that they don't. So that's why they do what they do. It's no surprise that they go after loving, kind, empathic, empathetic, kind, sweet people. It's no surprise. Male and female. The female narcissists go after the men that are in touch with their emotions. The male narcissists go after the females that are in touch with their emotions. And their ultimate goal is to destroy, because they can't feel it, so you don't get to feel it either. That's really what they want. They deny your no because they can't take it. No supply equals narc collapse. Lots of financial abuse. Walk away. Walk away. When respect is no longer being served, walk away. Period. Walk away. You know what? I would much rather start over with nothing than to deal for 1 second with abuse, disrespect, financial abuse, emotional shenanigans. No thank you. Life's too short. So walk away. Walk away. Leave. Seriously. It's like, figure out a way, leave. So, yeah, it's not worth it to stay. And there are some people that are like, oh, well, but, you know, the money. And it's like, it's not worth it. It's not worth it. If you're miserable, it's not worth it. Okay, how do you gain a healthy relationship with men after your father's abuse? Or how did you gain a healthy relationship? So I recognized when I was a teenager that my family was crazy. Like, I knew it back when I was younger. So in my teenage years, I thankfully had an older sister who was 18 years older than I was. It was doing, you know, lots of psychological classes. You know, she was studying psychology, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And she and I talked a lot. And so I had that sounding board. When I was a teenager, I distinctly heard my mother's voice in my head saying, I hate all men. And I went, whoa, 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 whoa. Put the brakes on that mother frickin' train. What the hell? So it's like, no, I don't hate all men. Do I hate my father? Do I hate his behavior? You betcha. Would I have anything to do with him if he wasn't dead? No, I wouldn't. You know, did I have anything to do with him when he was alive? No, I moved as far away and as fast away as I possibly could, and I stayed away until he died. You know, I mean, I would occasionally go home to visit, but, you know, it was mostly to visit my mom. So it was recognizing that not all men are my dad. You know, and my mom's hatred of men was deep-seated because it turned out she had been sexually molested by her step-grandfather. So there was a long history of patriarchal abuse of my mom, right? And she never dealt with it. She never went to a therapist. She never figured out, you know, that really her mom should have protected her and she didn't. And, you know, all that, and her dad, too. And all of that good stuff. And then she just did the whole, I hate all men. And then I heard that in my head and I went, wait a minute. That's not even me. I do not, that's not who I am. I am not generally a hater. I don't put up with BS, but I'm generally not a hater. So, you know, it's like, no, I don't hate all men. That's my mom. And then I was going to therapy. I was working with Ruth Hornaday when I was a teenager until my dad put a stop to that. And then, as soon as I got out and on my own, I went to therapy on my own, Fabian Smith, up in Portland, Oregon. And we worked on all of the mistaken thoughts, all the mistaken beliefs, all of the misdirected anger, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Does that make sense? So, yeah, it's working with what is and who is really the abuser. And is it all men? No, it's not. Thank God. Are there a-hole men out there that are abusers? Yeah, you betcha. Are there a-hole women out there that are abusers? Yeah, you betcha. You betcha. So it's knowing who you are. It's working on your self-esteem. It's knowing what is really your issue, what is really your parents' issue, what is really your thoughts, what is really your parents' thoughts, what is really your anger towards your abuser, and what is really just misdirected or misguided anger generalized onto people that don't deserve it. So, like I said, when we're kids, instead of getting mad at the abuser, we get mad at the parent that's sane. Or we get mad at a friend. Or we get mad at something else that's safe. Because it's not safe for us to confront directly the person we are truly angry at. So that's how I worked through all of that. It's like I worked on my self-esteem. I worked on the trauma. I worked on boundaries. I worked on my inner child. I worked on, you know, all of that stuff so that I wasn't generalizing it. It was like, no, I'm angry at my dad. Oh, you betcha. Oh, he was a jackwagon. You betcha. And it's not all men. It's not all men. And so getting a healthy, happy relationship starts here. Inner happiness is an inside job. Having a healthy relationship is an inside job. You separate out what's yours and what's not yours. And you separate out, what do you really think? What do you really feel? And where does this anger really belong? And then you give yourself permission to have a healthy, happy relationship with a healthy, happy partner. Male or female, doesn't matter, I don't care. Just make sure they're healthy. That's really it. And in touch with their emotions and empathic and not mirroring and not a narcissist and not, whatever. So that's how I did that, is I did the work. I worked all the workbooks I had at the time. I listened to all of the people I needed to at the time. I worked with my therapist. I worked on self-esteem. I worked on mistaken beliefs. I worked on handing it back to my mom. That was her issue, not mine. I worked on, I have a right to hate my dad. I have a right to not like him. I have the right to not be around him. I worked on all of that. And not putting up with disrespect. So deal breakers. List of deal breakers. What will I not put up with personally from anybody? I will not put up with disrespect. I will not put up with name calling. I will not put up with gaslighting. I will not put up with lying. I will not put up with rewriting history. I will not put up with cheating. I will not put up with, I'm just kidding, when they really weren't kidding, they meant it. So I don't put up with any of that. That falls under disrespect. So, you have your list of deal breakers that you will not put up with. And you also have your list of, okay, what am I looking for in a healthy relationship? Okay, the green flags are, they're honest, they have integrity. What they say, their actions and their words match. It's not a disconnect. So with abusers, their actions and their words do not match. With a real person, their actions and their words match. There's integrity. There is truthfulness. There is empathy. There is kindness. There is a sense of fun. Very rarely do abusers have actual senses of humor unless it is at somebody else's expense. So you want to look for somebody who's kind, who's empathic, who's got an adventurous spirit, who's willing to have fun, who is a good listener, who is a good talker, who is good at communication. You need to work on all of the family of origin issues. So in my family, no, there was no good communication. There was not. There was a lot of physical violence. There was a lot of disrespect. There was a lot of lying. There was a lot of gaslighting. There was a lot of, oh no, you don't see the pink elephant in the corner of the, all of that self-doubt, all of that stuff. So you work on your self-esteem, you work on your boundaries, you work on your inner child, you work on you and giving yourself permission to have your emotions, to feel your emotions, and to be with a partner that also has genuine emotions and feels their emotions. And recognize what was handed to you that absolutely was not yours. So that whole thought about, I hate all men. No, that was my mom. And she hated men for a very good reason. She was raped when she was 6, and she was abused from age 6 to 12 by that step-grandfather, and her mother abandoned her multiple times. So it makes sense. And of course, it wasn't safe to get mad at my grandmother because my grandmother was a narcissist, absolutely, 110%. And she was dangerous. She was mean. She was cruel. And she was nasty, and nobody liked her. So, that's really... And so as a kid, my mom could not confront her. My mom could get mad at other people, but she could not confront the abuser, which is interesting. So if you read my book, What's Wrong with Your Dad, I talk about all of that in there. My grandmother did come to live with us for the last few years of her life. It was interesting to watch because you could see the dynamics. So, So there's that. So that's, in a nutshell, I worked on myself. I did the work. I got with a trauma therapist. I did the work. So that's how you have a healthy relationship, is you get you healthy and loving you and respecting you and trusting you. And out of that, you get a healthy relationship because you recognize when somebody is treating you well. And I think that's the big thing. We're so used to being treated like doo-doo that, when somebody treats us well, it freaks us out. It freaked me out. When John treated me well, when we first started dating, and he still does treat me well, thank you very much. But when we first started dating, I freaked out because I had never been with somebody prior to that was healthy, really healthy. So yeah, so it's getting with a good therapist and it's working on you. So that is it in a nutshell. Hold on. Okay. Do they always believe their own lies? Yes, inevitably they do. So what a narcissist does is they lie and then they repeat the lie over and over and over again for two reasons. One, they have to convince themselves, and two, they have to convince their audience. And they honestly feel like if they say it enough, it becomes true. It's very much magic thinking. It's very much magic thinking. If you cut open a narcissist and looked on the inside, you are dealing with somebody who has the emotional maturity of a 2-year-old, if that. And so what do 2-year-olds do? They have magic thinking. I want what I want. When do I want it? Now. And I'm going to do whatever I need to in order to get it. And so they will lie. They will, whatever. Narcissists, not so much 2-year-olds, but 2-year-olds have magic thinking. Narcissists have the magic thinking. Well, if I just keep saying it, it's true. And they convince themselves that it's true. They really do. It's delusional. It is. And they say it also to convince their audience. So if you repeat something often enough, people who don't use critical thinking will start believing it, which is why you always want to verify. Listen, but verify. Listen, but verify. You don't want to just accept things just because it's been repeated over and over again. Well, is this true? You gotta check into it. So yes, they absolutely do believe what they've lied about because they have magic thinking and they think that if they believe it, then everyone should believe it. It's like the Emperor's New Clothes. So, the Emperor's New Clothes, these two scam artists make this emperor believe that this invisible suit was exquisite and amazing and this, that, and the other thing. And the emperor convinced himself that it was real. So it's the same thing. It's that magic thinking, the Emperor's New Clothes. Absolutely. All right. Can you explain more about covert narcissism? Okay. So covert narcissism. So there's 3 types. Well, there's probably more, but there's 3 main types of narcissism. There's the overt ones, which are look at me, look at me, look at me, tell me I'm fabulous, I'm the greatest thing ever, I'm great, look at all the great things, I'm so great, tell me how great I am. That's an overt narcissist. They're always tooting their own horn. They're always talking about how great they are and all the wonderful things they've done. They lie about the things that they've done. They often lie about military service, things like that. They're very, they're blunt. They're very outrageous in their lies because they don't think anybody's going to call them on it. So, that's a overt narcissist. A covert narcissist are the ones who play the victims. They are the ones who are like, say for example, the toxic mother-in-laws or the toxic father-in-laws that do the whole, oh, poor me, you never write, you never call, I do all of this for you and you do nothing for me. I am such a victim. They play the victim. They play the victim to the hilt. So it's very manipulative. It's very covert. It doesn't look like narcissism, but it is, because nobody has that kind of bad luck, and it's like if they're constantly playing the victim and never come up with a solution, I can guarantee you're dealing with a covert narcissist. They don't want a solution. Every single covert narcissist will find a problem for every solution you come up with. Guarantee it. Because they're invested in being the victim. Poor me. And so they get sympathy, they get attention, they get, whatever. It is, it's more subtle than the overt narcissist. The overt narcissist you can tell because they're constantly tooting their own horn. With the covert narcissist, it's more a matter of, I'm a victim, and it's your fault. So that kind of thing. So nursing homes are filled with them. So yeah, absolutely. And then the last one is communal narcissism. Communal narcissism is where they cloak themselves in a religion of any kind. It can be New Age, it can be Buddhism, it can be Christianity, it can be Judaism, it could be anything. And they declare themselves some sort of guru. Cults. That's basically what it is. It's cults. So yeah, and they'll slide between the 3 types depending on what is going to get their needs met. So 100%. Okay, so is that it? Yeah, that's it. Cool and groovy. All right, so this next week we're going to be talking about getting off the ropes. We're going to be talking about how not to fall for the gaslighting, how not to try to correct them. We're going to talk gray rock. We're going to talk not over explaining. We're going to talk, everything and how to walk away, because you do not have to attend every single argument you're invited to. So there that is. All right, my loves, you guys go have a great week, and I will talk to you on Sunday, and it's going to be called Off the Ropes. Talk to you later. Bye.